Hey guys, welcome back to the MSR Workshop. So today I've got something a little different for you. So if any of you have followed my channel over the years, you know I have done everything from doing stuff on bicycles to doing a repair on my truck. Lately I've been doing a lot of woodworking videos, a bunch of lasering videos, and I know I've been focused mainly on doing woodworking lately, but I would like to get back to where I've started. And that's just putting out content that I think somebody else would enjoy and not sticking to a specific format. And I hope that my followers don't mind me getting back to my roots and really getting back to what this channel was named after. The MSR Workshop monogram stands for My Something Random, where it means just I am putting up random videos or something that I think is a little bit different or gives a little bit more to the people watching on YouTube. So come along with me on this journey, and we're going to talk about this PCP rifle right here. Guys, so the PCP air rifle that I have here is the Umarex Notos. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the term PCP, it stands for pre-charged pneumatic. And what a pre-charged pneumatic is you have actually a refillable air tank, unlike some of the guns you can get at Academy where it just takes a CO2 cartridge. Now, you're usually not going to find a pre-charged pneumatic at any of your big box stores. You're going to have to go to a specialty store like an airgun store. And there is a bunch of them online. But a PCP gun is really where it's at when it comes to shooting pellet guns. So I'm going to talk about this fantastic budget-friendly PCP air rifle here. So starting off with, I'm going to jump through and talk about the specs of this gun. So the advertised max velocity of the Umarex Notos here is 700 feet per second. Now that could be less or more depending on where the regulator is set. I know this does have a regulator that can be adjusted. I have not messed with it, but 700 feet per second is what it's advertised. I do not have a chronograph to verify that, unfortunately. The overall length of the gun is 34 inches. Now, if you look at the butt plate here, we have got an adjustable rubber butt here, and this goes in and out, and I believe it's got 3 different pre-lock settings. 3 or 4, something like that. Now, this is a standard AR style receiver on the back, or butt plate, whatever you want to call it. And if you've got an AR butt plate that you like, this can actually be unscrewed and you can put your own on, I've been told. Now, I've not tried it, but you can. The whole gun weighs about 4 pounds, not including the scope and the rails, and it does not come with a scope and rails. You have Picatinny style rail on the top that extends the top length of the gun, which is really nice for mounting scopes and different optics. You have a manual safety located right below the trigger. It is just a little red button. This caliber is a .22. It does not come in any current other calibers at this time that I know of, so just .22 is what you're stuck with, but I find that is one of the most versatile calibers out there, and you have a ton of different types of ammo for it. The muzzle energy advertised for this is around 13 foot-pounds, and of course that could probably be adjusted if you messed with the regulator and like to tinker. Loudness, they say a medium of a 3. I think this is actually quite backyard friendly, because if you look over here at the front of the gun, you do have an integral moderator. It does come with a moderator pre-installed. Now, the nice thing about an air gun, if you're not familiar with it, is it's not recognized by the federal government as a firearm, which means you can put moderators on them, you can shoot them in your backyard, and you don't have to have a license for them. Now, before you go and start shooting this in your backyard, I do recommend checking your local city ordinances, because some still say, we still don't want you shooting pellet guns or BB guns in your backyard. Most of them, however, don't mind you doing that, so long as you're not shooting across the street. and or just generally scaring off all the neighbors. The barrel is rifled, and it comes with a side lever action, meaning you have this little lever here that you pull back to chamber around. And the rounds, looking at the rounds here, you have a little teardrop magazine that holds 722 rounds. It is a little spring-loaded thing where you actually wind it, drop your first one in, and then start winding them around. These are magnetically attached. You have a little magnet, and there is a little slot that it actually slides in the breech right here, where it would stay in here. Now I have to open this and cock the rifle in order to do that. Also in the box, you get a fill probe and an extra set of washers and gaskets in case something springs a leak on you. So you do have some extra bits and accessories there. Max shots per fill. I've heard everywhere from 20 to 25, just depends on where your regulator is set. Your cylinder size is 66 cc's, and obviously, yes, the gun is shrouded. Taking a look at the front here, you do have a regulator pressure gauge here, and your operating pressure is 250 bars, which is 3,625 psi. So this tank actually holds quite a bit of pressure. Now, if you were to detune the gun a bit, you probably could get a whole heck of a lot more shots out of it, but the feet per second and the muzzle energy that it's putting out currently right now, you're getting about 25 shots. Now, a couple other things that don't talk about much in some of the manuals is one, how to degas the gun. You have a little bitty screw right here that you just back this out, and that will actually let all the air out of your tank. And when I first got the gun, it wasn't holding air. I had no idea why. Well, this screw was just a little bit loose. So you just tighten that up, and I was able to pressurize the tank. Now, if you get your brand new gun, there is absolutely no pressure in the tank. They say to cock the gun first and then start filling it up. Once you put a little bit of pressure in the gun, you don't have to keep doing that every time, but on the first fill, they say to cock the gun because that does something to the seal. Now, once you've depressurized the gun, you can go ahead and take the cylinder off if you do want to, and you'll notice that my gun looks a little bit different than, say, the ones in the stores, and that is because I have carbon wrapped a bunch of different little features just because I wanted to personalize it. So I've carbon wrapped the rear, the barrel, and this little barrel shroud under here. Now, if you wanted to do this, just degas your gun. This threads off. You just grab it and unscrew it, and then you can get at your top Picatinny rail. Now, you can't take this off without removing your scope first, but on the very top, right below where you put your magazine is, right above actually, is a screw, a little Allen screw. You just back that out, and underneath you have one more set screw. That is a small little Allen screw in there. Once you've taken that one off, this whole piece just slides right off, and this in here is just a metal shroud for looks. Now, that can be slid off if you want, and I got my wrap off of Amazon. Now, you can get it in any color probably imaginable: carbon, mirrored, purple, pink, blue, orange, whatever your fancy, camo if you like into that. But yeah, that's how you take the gun apart right there. It's real easy to service and kind of fiddle with and do things with. And then once again, your moderator is integral, and I have seen some aftermarket barrels for these where you can take this off and then you can screw on your own moderator up front. Now, I think the moderator that comes with it does a very good job, so I've had no reason to go and source something else or remove this. But the all-important question is, how does it shoot? Let's go over to the range and I'm going to show you. Alright guys, time to do a little shooting here. So the scope that I've got mounted up to this Umarex Notos is the Monstrum Hornet 4x16x50 first focal plane scope. Really like this scope, as well as the scope rings here, which are also Monstrum, and I will be doing a video on both in the coming series that I'll be doing. My range is measured up about 53 feet, which is about somewhere around 16 meters, so not a huge distance, but it's still pretty fun. So the pellets that we're going to be using today are these Hawk Thunder 25.3 grain pellets. And they're almost like a slug, but they're kind of a modified slug, so you kind of look like your traditional pellet. But they seem to look really nice. It didn't have any, deformities or anything. They look like they've been pre-lubed as well, so really good, heavy little slug, and the gun seems to like them, so I'll keep shooting with them and keep testing them and let you know more of what I find out about these pellets. Now the pellets next to them are these H&N Barracuda match pellets, which I've been shooting the H&N pellets quite a bit. I really like these as well. These are 21.14 grains, so quite a bit lighter pellet, but they shoot pretty good as well. They don't seem to quite have the lubed pellet look like the other ones, so they're not as shiny, but so far so good. I'll let you know as well on these. I've just been testing these a little bit. So let's jump into some shooting and see how both of these do. So we're doing some shooting at the box that I did in my last video. If you want to know how I did it, just go back to the last video. Now I'm just kind of shooting at some different areas on the target so you can kind of see the groupings. This lower one here is when I switched to those heavier pellets, as well as the one above, and the groupings were actually quite impressive. Now those are, maybe quarter size, maybe a little bit smaller. For any of you out there with a keen eye, and kind of notice close to the end of this video, you know that it's not hitting the targets quite as hard, and that's because I didn't really pay attention and I kind of got in the red on my air tank, so it really kind of lost oomph here at the end. But normally with a full tank it spins all of these targets around. Alright guys, thanks so much for joining me on this video today. I have really enjoyed shooting this Umarex Notos. If you want to learn more about the Umarex Notos or where you can get one, you follow the link in the description below. Now, if you didn't get to see my last video, that's where I constructed that target that I shot at today, and it will give you step-by-step instructions on how to build one yourself. But if you're looking for a great PCP air rifle, this is probably the best on the market right now as far as budget-friendly air rifles are concerned. So check it out and stay tuned for the next video where I'm going to be talking about this Monstrum Hornet rifle scope and kind of going through some of the features and why I think this might be a great fit for you. Until next time, guys, thanks again.